We've heard all the awful stories of women getting roofied. I'm curious though, if any men have had a roofie experience? What happened? Once. It was at a pub, pretty sure they were going to rob me. I was lucky, had a mate there who looked after me and took me home. It was a weird experience though, only got halfway through my drink before I started feeling it. Less than 10 minutes later and I couldn't hold up my head or speak properly. Really don't want to think about what would have happened if my mate wasn't there. Whatever they used, I don't think it wasn't a roofie since I could remember everything, but it must have been some kind of sedative. Drugged, robbed, and assaulted at a party. Hell, even tried telling folks and to this day people think I just overindulged. Saying things like you're crazy, why would anyone ever do that to you of all people? Or I think you were dreaming? 2 beers won't put down a big guy without help. 2 beers won't make me lose my wallet and keys. 2 beers wouldn't make me question how I ended up with a condom on and my pants around my ankles. I see false masculinity being cited as a reason for not saying anything. Truth is no one believes it could happen to men. I was roofied and sexually assaulted by a college girl. This was back when I was in college, the heyday of Facebook's initial release in 2005-06. I went to a party on another campus and was asked what I'd like to drink by a group of girls. They huddled around the fridge for a bit, and I didn't really think anything of it. I kid you not, halfway through this drink, first of the night, I was blacked out. My friends went on the hunt for me when I disappeared and they were ready to leave. They found me passed out in the laundry closet with this sober, albeit heavier set, girl on top of me. I had a girlfriend at the time and absolutely no recollection of how I got there. Needless to say, my friends managed to get me out of there ASAP. I had no idea who this woman was, but they said she was on those huddled near the fridge. This shit happens to guys, but it doesn't go reported because of bullshit false masculinity ideals. Needless to say, I don't drink anymore. Never spiked with GHB, so not roofied in the traditional sense. But yes, I have had my drink spiked. A guy who didn't like me put a few tabs of acid in my beer for a laugh. I took mushrooms quite regularly at the time, but never touched acid because I was scared of it. Needless to say, I freaked out. Had troubles with panic attacks for a few years afterwards. Definitely feel that it negatively affected my mental health in the long run too. UK's most prolific rapist exclusively roofied men and recorded himself with them. A lot of the victims didn't realise they'd been attacked until the police came around. Link. I was getting drinks with my girlfriend and another couple. The girls wanted to go to a different bar, so they gave me their drinks to finish. I remember walking down the street and then I woke up 2 days later. Apparently I didn't act all that different, but they could tell I was pretty fucked up. I don't remember anything except leaving the first bar. After I went into work and told a friend, and then my boss made fun of me. When I went to the doctor to get a blood draw so I wouldn't get fired over a random urinalysis result, I just got laughed at again. I just kept getting told that no one would roofie me. I tried explaining the situation but no one cared. One time I was traveling on my own, ended up at a club for a party with a group of people I met there. Met more people at a party and one of them, a guy also, spiked me with what I think was GHB. Next thing I remember I was following him somewhere, it was dawning or there was some light out, and something on my mind was saying no. Danger. But I kept following him and he was pulling me through the sleeve of my hoodie. It was a little bit out of body, honestly. I repeated a few times to myself that I would go and eventually told him. He insisted for me to follow him, pulled me. I got aggressive, and told him I was going back to my hostel and that was it. Took me a while to figure out where I was. 40 minutes walk to the hostel needed to clear my head and even then still kinda blurry. The only way to describe it to you is, do you know when you black out during a night out? If you say yes, then it was like that, but I blacked out and woke up during the same night without touching a bed. Edit. A few years prior to that I had been spiked from sipping a friend's drinking and I had read the effects of GHB, so I assume that, in both cases, they were the same. The first, since I only sipped, I felt like the beginning of ketamine or a strong tranquilizer, but I could handle it. Tossed the drink, never found out who did it. My son was roofied by a lesbian couple and raped at a party, so they could get pregnant. 6 years later they split up and hit my son up for back child support. She admitted she raped him in court and on the record, but the female judge still ordered him to pay up. Because he started off $30,000 in arrears, we still aren't allowed to see the kid until my son catches up. Moral to the story: don't fucking be male in Texas. Been roofied twice, once at a bar, another time at a concert. The one at the bar, some woman tried to grope and kiss me, but my friends could spot that something was wrong and took me home. The time of the concert, I did wake up the next day in a random apartment building pretty much in another city with a teacup on my crotch. It's scary when you have zero recollection of anything happening. Knew a guy who believed he got roofied at a bar by another guy in order to get him out of contention for a woman they were both interested in. Said he had one drink and apparently friends found him passed out on the men's room floor and had to carry him out. Craziest story though, my daughter has two guy friends who claim they were roofied at some girl's house, and that girl and one of her friends essentially raped them. One of them vaguely remembers some of the events, the other remembers nothing, but both say the physical evidence was pretty clear on what happened. I got roofied by two girls in college. They brought me back to one of the girls' apartment and tried to do things to me. They were friends of mine at the time. I woke up the next day not knowing what happened but knew I hadn't drank enough to black out. One of the girls brought me a coffee in the morning. Happened to a buddy of mine about 20 years ago. Two women repeatedly drugged and raped him for 2 days. They both ended up getting pregnant. Crazy thing for them is that they videotaped all of it. The detective told my friend that he wouldn't have believed him if it wasn't for the videotape. He's great actually. He's my best friend. We've been through some of the same things. The women went to prison after they gave birth to the children, but they did less than 3 years each. He got custody of the kids right after paternity tests were done. I'm the godfather to his children. He would be mad with me if he knew that I was sharing this info.